Hello everyone, this is Trig and I'm here in my backyard. Daisy the dog is running around playing, and I was thinking about what are the elements that go into living a life of joy. How do you know when you're experiencing joy? Why is joy so important? Why do we lose our sense of joy? I was thinking about a lot of these things, and I think that the reason we lose our joy is because in the last 10 years, our society and our culture has really gone through basically a traumatic experience. Whether it's been financially or relationally or even in our physical bodies, many people, many of your friends, many of your family members have gone through pretty traumatic experiences. And when we go through trials, when we go through these type of situations, then it leaves us feeling empty. It leaves us feeling anxious. It leaves us full of fear and even depressed. It takes away our joy. And those moments that we used to enjoy with our families, or being home alone, or maybe going out to the mountains for a weekend, seem to be far few in between. But here's the thing. All of us want to experience joy in life. Because when you have joy, you pursue new things. When you experience joy, you are a much more pleasant individual to be around. Your wife enjoys you more. Your children are happy around you. At work, people can go to you for advice because they see something different in you. And so, how can we experience joy and recover what's been lost? My definition of joy is that joy is contentment within and gratitude outside. It is contentment in our soul, and it is gratitude in our circumstances. I also have heard it said that joy is resistance against the forces of despair. And I really like that description or definition, because I think that sometimes we look at joy as something to attain. Maybe when we have that job, or when we have the right relationship, or when we meet our fitness goals, then we will be happy. But I have discovered in my own life that actually joy is a strength that comes from inside, and that it actually is a weapon that God uses to resist the despair that is all around us, or that maybe comes into our mind. And so I wanted to share with you the first of three components that I'm convinced rebuild joy into our lives, that put joy back into our lives. And it's what I call the ACL Experience. So today I'm going to share with you principle number one, and then tomorrow I'm going to share with you the second principle, and then the third one the following day. So the first one is what I call rediscovering your adventure. So A stands for adventure. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is those moments when you were in a place of complete freedom, where you felt like your dreams and your potential finally came together. It's those moments when you trusted God fearlessly. Some could call it where you took a leap of faith, where you, as the scriptures call it, you live by faith, not by sight. Now, most people struggle thinking of that adventure. And so what I try to do at the workshops that I do, when I write articles, when I meet with people one-on-one, is to help them discover that adventure. And so I want to do that with you actually now. Imagine we're out to lunch, or maybe we're having a cup of coffee, and you're asking the question, how can I experience more joy? What I would have you first do is start in your mind. Second, it's in your body. And then third, it's an action that we have to take. So the first thing when it comes to adventure is your mindset. Think in your mind of an experience in your past where you felt the most alive. Now, I guarantee that if I ask that question to 10 people, 8 out of 10 people will struggle to think of anything. So I want to tell you what my adventure is, or what comes to my mind when I think of that. About a year and a half ago, I knew that God was calling me to, for the first time, talk about my struggle with anxiety. And I talked to a lot of friends about it first, and they were very supportive. And so I had been meeting with my therapist for about a year and a half, and he had told me, Trig, I think you're ready to share your story. And so I began to put together the plans for this conference that eventually was called the Finding Grace Through Anxiety Conference. About almost 100 people showed up. I literally expected maybe like 10 to show up. But that wasn't even the adventure, even though that sounds amazing. The adventure was actually, I would say, down to 1 second or to 1 moment. And it was at the end of the whole conference, after maybe 2 or 3 hours of conversation and fun and music and laughter and counseling and all of these things. I had a bag next to me on stage with beach balls. I remember buying them at the 99, my favorite store. I even wrote a song about it. And I remember going there the day before. And I literally remember my wife even asking me and saying, why are you buying beach balls for an anxiety talk or a conference on anxiety? I didn't even tell her because, I wasn't really even sure myself. But I felt something inside. It was almost like God was guiding me to do something that was way beyond even my thinking. And so the day of the conference, I grabbed all these beach balls, maybe like 5 of them, and put them in this black trash bag. We got to the very, very end of the conference, and I was dismissing people, and I almost forgot about the bag. And if I'm honest with myself, part of me in that kind of those last few minutes, I almost intentionally wanted to forget, but I didn't. I asked one of the young guys on the front row to come up on stage, and I said, can you take the balls out? And as the Pharrell's song Happy was playing in the room, which was also a part of kind of that moment, he and I took out all the beach balls and threw them out in the audience. And 100 people began to play beach volleyball in this hall. As we danced to the Happy song. I began to dance. People began to dance. They were moving, smiling. People that just maybe an hour ago were crying with, just with their hurts from childhood issues, with their own problems with anxiety. People that just an hour or 2 ago were maybe for the first time feeling like there was hope in their lives. We're now dancing to Pharrell's song while hitting beach balls in the air. It was like a Dodger game, at an anxiety conference. I mean, that to me, just for me personally, that very moment was my adventure. And here are 3 things that went into that so that you can now do the same thing. First, it was specific. Second, it was physical. And third, it was meaningful. So I want you to do the same thing now. At the bottom of this video, I'm going to include a PDF where you can download 3 questions that I will ask. Basically a worksheet that you can use to help you with this first element of how to find more joy in life. The adventure. And I want you to actually, maybe today, even tonight, before you go back to work, to take a few minutes to meditate and to practice finding and rediscovering your adventure. It might take you more than just a couple of hours. It might take you days. For some people, some of the people that I meet with, it takes them weeks, maybe even months to come up with their adventure because it's so buried in there for so many of us. But I am convinced that when you get in touch with that sense of adventure and with that mental aspect, meaning that specific moment, with second, the physicalness of it, for me, it was literally going like this, like my arms up in the air and my smile on my face while the song was playing. And then third, connecting it to something meaningful. For me, it was that conference and helping so many people. I guarantee that you're on your way to experiencing a life of joy in what we call here a life of gozo. So I encourage you and I challenge you, watch all 3 videos, download the worksheet beneath here, this video, practice coming up with your adventure. And then here's the second challenge. On July 11th, Saturday at 4 p.m. here in Long Beach, California, Southern California, I want to invite you here to my house to experience what I'm going to call the Living on Gozo Street Conference. A couple of hours of carne asada, live music that I am going to give to you, some of the songs that I've been writing. And most of all, we're going to actually together as a community, as a group, we're going to go through these exercises together. And we're going to write down your A, your C, and your L, your adventure, the grace amidst your crisis, and discovering who you love. And at the end of that whole event, we're going to dance with beach balls once again to Pharrell's song. And I guarantee that you will leave that day with a smile on your face, and most of all, with a mindset of joy and with the tools to resist the forces of despair. God says, though there's pain in the night, joy comes in the morning. He also says that though we sow in tears, we will reap in joy. That is what I'm promising. That is what God wants to do in your life. That's what you can expect. So that with that joy, you can live better. You can enjoy your life. You can give to other people. You can have the stamina and the strength to be a pastor, to be a husband, to be a wife, to be a mom, to be a leader and a creative type, and to change the world. That's what God wants to do in your life. That's what I hopefully will help you, and hopefully we will together do on July 11th. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you next time.